Some of you may remember that rancher from a while back that had to stand off with the police. He had the militias up there with their guns aimed at the federal agents. His name was Ammon Bundy. Well, his son, Ammon Bundy, and his posse decided that they were going to, I guess you could call it, protest over there in Oregon and hold buildings that they did not want the federal government to take over. And these people were armed. Now, of course, if you're an unarmed protester, you don't have the complexion for protection. If you're a quote unquote black person or a blackie or one of the blacks, as they like to call us, well, guess what will happen to you? You would have been popped as soon as you got there, talking about you're not going to take our land or our building or whatever you were telling the government that they weren't going to take back from you. They would have popped you, and that would have been the end of the story. But these good old white folks were able to hold on to some things that were not theirs. And, well, it did not last very long. Well, it lasted weeks, but it's over now. So the Los Angeles Times posted an article titled, "Oregon Occupation Spokesman Reportedly Killed 8 Other Protesters Arrested." I'm going to read to you the story here, written by Matt Pierce. Matt Pierce writes, and I quote, "One person died and 8 others were taken into custody Tuesday when authorities confronted an armed protest group." Wait, pause the story right there. Why would protesters be armed? Was this a Second Amendment rally? Anyways, armed protest group responsible for a nearly month-long occupation. I know I'm about to butcher this name. Responsible for a nearly month-long occupation of the Mahuer, I don't know how to pronounce this word, forgive me, National Wildlife Refuge in southeastern Oregon, officials said. Killed in the confrontation was Arizona rancher Robert Lavoy Finicum, who had acted as a spokesman for the group of self-styled defenders of the Constitution, according to Nevada State Assemblywoman Michelle Fiore, who spoke with the wife of Ammon Bundy, the son of a renegade Nevada rancher and a leader of the group. Bundy was among 5 people initially taken into custody, including his brother Ryan, who was shot in the arm during the incident, Fiore said. Finicum's daughter, Ariana Finicum Brown, confirmed her father's death to the Oregonian newspaper. Quote, "He would never ever want to hurt somebody, but he does believe in defending freedom, and he knew the risks involved," said Brown, who was one of 11 children. Fiore's account of how the arrest occurred could not be confirmed with authorities, nor was it clear whether any protesters remained at the refuge. In a statement on the arrest, authorities said that shots were fired during the incident on US 395. The injured person, whom Fiore identified as Ryan Bundy, was treated and released, the statement said. The highway confrontation began at 4:25 p.m. when authorities from the FBI and Oregon State Police, quote, began a law enforcement action to take into custody those associated with the armed occupation of the refuge, officials said in a statement. Authorities did not give details on the killing of the suspect, who they said, quote, was a subject of a federal probe cause arrest, end quote. Police said they made a separate arrest of another man, Joseph O. Shaughnessy of Cottonwood, Arizona, who was taken into custody in the town of Burns near the occupied wildlife refuge. About 2 hours after the initial confrontation, authorities also arrested internet radio host Pete Santilli, a supporter of the occupation, who has documented the case on his program and via live stream since it began. Did you hear that? They even arresting internet radio hosts. I'm an internet radio host, damn it. I'm glad I wasn't trying to report in the scene. Anyways, an 8th suspect, John Eric Ritzheimer, 32, was arrested in Peoria, Arizona about 8:30 p.m. on a federal charge related to the occupation, the FBI said. Ritzheimer, an anti-government activist who has organized armed anti-Muslim rallies in Phoenix, turned himself to the Peoria Police Department and was taken into custody without incident, officials said. Pause the story right there. I just got to say this. If he had anti-Muslim rallies going, I'm sorry, but he sounds like a dangerous guy and a fanatic. Anyway, back to the story. All of those taken into custody, including Santilli and Ritzheimer, face a federal felony charge of conspiracy to impede federal officers through the use of force, intimidation, or threats, authorities said. U.S. Senator Jeff Merkley Democrat from Oregon, said he congratulated law enforcement officials for ending the, quote, illegal activity at the refuge. Quote, I am pleased that the FBI listened to the concerns of the local community and responded to the illegal activity occurring in Harney County by outside extremists, he said in a statement. Quote, the leaders of this group are now in custody, and I hope the remaining individuals occupying the Malheur National Wildlife Refuge will peacefully surrender so this community can begin to heal, he said. Leaders of the group have been largely holed up at the refuge outside Burns since January 2nd, protesting the federal sentencing of 2 local ranchers and the government's administration of public lands. They have been expected to appear at a community meeting Tuesday night in the city of John Day, but never arrived. In addition to Ammon Bundy, 40, a resident of Emmett, Idaho, those arrested included his brother Ryan Bundy, 43, of Bunkerville, Nevada, Brian Cavalier, 44, also of Bunkerville, Shauna Cox, 59, of Kanab, Utah, and Ryan Wayland Payne of Anaconda, Montana. Really, there's an Anaconda, Montana? I'm sorry, let me get back to the story. Quote, isn't this a wonderful country we live in? Nevada rancher Clive Bundy, father of Ammon and Ryan, said sarcastically when the Los Angeles Times informed him about the arrest and the death. Quote, we believe that those federal people shouldn't even be there in that state and be in that county and have anything to do with this issue. I have some sons and other people there trying to protect our rights and liberties and freedoms. And now we've got one killed, and all I can say is he sacrificed for a good purpose, Bundy said. Ammon Bundy and a group of about 15 others took over the wildlife refuge after a march in support of Oregon ranchers Dwight and Stephen Heyman, a father and son who had been sentenced to prison for setting fires on federal land. Yeah, people, that's what this is all over. 2 idiots setting fire on federal lands, leading to their arrest. Anyways, the Heymans said they were not asking for such support, and the occupation quickly took on much of the rhetoric of the sagebrush rebellion of another era. The activists condemned the federal government's management of public lands in the West and invoked a constitutional provision that they believe provides that the federal government is not entitled to own land. Quote, this is the way all wars have happened. The land and the resources got so controlled by one entity and not available to the people that the people get frustrated and then they end up retaliating, Ammon Bundy said earlier this month. Quote, so this is a peaceful effort to make sure that that doesn't happen. Finicum, 55, who came from his ranch in Cane Beds, Arizona. Wait, there's a place in Arizona named Cane Beds? Oh goodness, these names. Anyways, Finicum, 55, who came from his ranch in Cane Beds, Arizona, to join the occupation, gave reporters tours of the refuge early on in the protests. Quote, this contest is just beginning, but we will not stop. We will not back down. We will not be deterred, Finicum told reporters on January 18th in a statement posted on YouTube. Wearing a cowboy hat, flannel shirt, and denim jacket, Finicum stood in front of an American flag. Oh, this sounds like a really, really cheap, bad movie. Finicum stood in front of an American flag. Quote, make it known clearly, he said. Quote, these buildings are very symbolic. They're a bunch of rock buildings 35 miles away from nowhere, but they're symbolic. We're holding this. It's been the federal government's fortress, their castle, and we're holding it. Quote, we shall not give it up to them ever. It returns to Harney County when it goes back, end quote. Yeah, so that's the end of the story from the LA Times. So if you want to read the story for yourself or anything, it's on my blog. Just click the link below and you'll be able to be taken there. I mean, even the corny little lines that they're saying, this is just hilarious. Oh, these buildings are a bunch of rocks, but they're symbolic. And I'm going to stand here with my cowboy hat on in front of an American flag. They're just so corny. It's like they're trying to live out the corniest, like, old movie that they watched, like, maybe as a child, with maybe their dad and their grandfather and whatnot. And they were like, man, now that's what an American is. I mean, these people are stuck in a time warp. I don't know what type of games they think that the federal government are playing with them. But I bet they'll never do this nonsense again. And if they do, well, it's going to be way worse next time. There won't be just 1 dead and 8 arrested. It's going to be everybody dead or arrested, basically. They won't be able to protect themselves next time. All this pointing guns at the government and whatnot, you know, they'll shoot you if you're unarmed and you're 12 years old. Or if you're sitting there in the car with your wife or your girlfriend, they'll hop up on the car and shoot up the car with 100 or something bullets, unarmed. No questions asked. Maybe they thought because they were white and they were in the Midwest or whatever, maybe they thought that it wouldn't happen. I don't know, but hey, it goes down in the Wild Wild West too, buddy. It's not just something that happens in New York and California or New Orleans or Texas or St. Louis, Missouri. It happens everywhere. They're not freaking playing. Plus, those are federal agents. As soon as you heard the federal agents were coming in, you should have thought to yourself, if the cops are as bad as they are, if they send in the military or some sort of federal agent, is it really a good idea to continue this, or should we maybe handle the issue in another way? What they should have done was explain to the people exactly why they felt the way that they felt and how they thought that the government was overstepping their boundaries, and get as many people as they can to then step up and peacefully protest. But no, they wanted to bring the rah-rah, and they went and got their guns and whatnot, and that mess didn't save them. Because as you can see, the government really wasn't playing. They brought the ruckus and started popping people in the arm, killing people, and arresting people. There's plenty of other ways they could have handled the situation, but hey, that's how they tried. They decided to go out in a blaze of glory. And like the guy said in the story, I think he died for a worthy cause, or wherever he worded it. But whatever, dude. He's dead and gone now, and that's 1 man out of your team down. Another one got shot. And you think it was all worth it. Well, what did you accomplish? They didn't get the land or the buildings, or they didn't get those 2 guys out of jail, or anything that they wanted. So what was the whole point? But anyway, this is all my ignorant opinion. What do I know? Maybe these cowboys were right to do what they did. Let me know what you think about it all below. Be sure to subscribe to the Meat Magazine YouTube channels. Visit meatmagazine.blogspot.com. Follow me on Twitter @meatmagazine.